Well, hey Danielle, it has been a while. Good to see you though. Just how you
I remember
doing?
you.
Yeah.
Hello.
Happy Monday. How are things?
Good. Super rainy here.
Oh yeah, it's raining down. No, summer's going away, huh?
Well, it's my favorite fall, so
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of ready for the heat to go away myself, so it is always nice to have that. But yeah, obviously got a big match coming up here. Headed back to Singapore. Fun travels. That'll be nice. But just I mean, as for the whole show, One Fight Night 14, kind of a women's showcase. Always love to see that. So I mean, are you excited to compete kind of with everybody and be featured a part of how they're spotlighting the women a little bit atop this card?
yeah, I'm super excited. And this will be actually my first ever competing in a card with the main card as women and being the jiu-jitsu match. So it's really cool to, be the face, me and my opponent to be the face of the match fighting for the title. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think that says kind of anything about where I guess jujitsu for the women has come in the past so many years? Like the fact that you guys are able to be a part of something like this and the company trusts you guys to be in a spot like this. Do you think it says anything, or is it just like, oh, it's placement, it's whatever?
No, I think, with 2023, I feel like women's sports, especially combat sports, has really taken like a whole like drive to the top. I feel like back when I started back then, women's MMA, jiu-jitsu wasn't as popular. There was divisions where there's only one women's division while there's like 10 guy divisions. Women didn't really have that respect or the attention as it does today. And, you know, being in that spot now, I get to showcase my jiu-jitsu and also many of the young generation, boys, girls watching, women's sports in this main card coming up. I feel like it's going to be a really plus for the women's combat sports and jiu-jitsu, especially jiu-jitsu. I feel
Yeah.
like jiu-jitsu has definitely been growing really fast this past year.
Yeah, hard to deny that for sure. And obviously, it's a kind of a big one that you got here with Jessa Khan. I know you've been talking all about her, and I'm sure you're sick of her at this point. But what are your thoughts, I guess, on her as an opponent and a competitor at this stage, and like as you get ready to rematch her here?
I mean, I respect her. We've fought before. I think there's a lot of doubt on my end. People think I either don't deserve. It's weird, like they
Yeah.
said I shouldn't go against Jessa, but I'm the underdog, and if I do beat her, there's no excuses. So it's weird people saying I shouldn't go against her, but um, I fought for one like three times already. This is her first match, immediate title shot. Whoopee. So definitely not the favorite. I am not the favorite. But I when I beat her, it's gonna put that legitimacy for the title, and I basically be a world champion. There should be no excuses, and she on book or writing, she's more accomplished than me. So it's really cool. I have no pressure on me to this match except like when I walk to the stage. But yeah, once I shake hands, like I'm gonna go after her.
I'm really curious because of the dynamic of rematches is always kind of fascinating to me. But like in your case here, how much of rematch preparation is focusing just on yourself and what you can do, and like how much of it is focusing on the opponent, especially with jujitsu? I think it's like I'm fascinated to hear how you kind of approach it that way.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a balance. Obviously, like, in jiu-jitsu, when you're in the tournament base, if you're doing tournaments instead of super fights, you are more than likely going to go into the same people, especially the smaller, like we're considered the smaller division because we're like 105, 115. And lately it's a hit or miss. Usually it's a small division, so you're going to fight the same people all the time. And studying my opponent's match, she's been going against the same girls, whether winning or losing. And I think if you focus too much on, oh, it's a rematch, focus on what they're doing, then you're kind of forgetting like what you can do.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm focusing, not making the same mistakes. I'm focusing on what she does, but also, I'm only in control what I can do. So I've been focusing on my mistakes and bettering myself outside and inside jiu-jitsu or training. So I think it's like 50-50,
Mhm.
I would say like for anyone that's preparing for matches, and a lot of the high level people say the same thing. If you kind of tunnel vision on like what they're doing, that can be kind of a knock on your training because you're not focusing on your other areas of your game.
Right. Right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So, yeah, a lot to think about always. And of course, always finding that fine balance in life. So,
I
there
kind of
you
just like talk your ear off, and you're like, okay, I kind of
go.
understand.
Yeah, to the best that I can. All right. But I mean, when you look at that first match, though, if you do, I don't know if you're someone who like puts things behind you and whatnot, but looking at it, if you have done any of that, like, what would you say was your biggest takeaway, from the match with her the first time around?
Biggest takeaway, you know, now going to his match, I'm really confident. I feel like back then I wasn't. If you watch that match, you can just basically see, you can, I wasn't that confident. I was kind of like in like a little obstacle. I was kind of like not really myself. And it's just proof in that match. Like I kind of like went in there, and you can just tell like, I was very what's that word? I was very hesitant
Mm,
a lot of times in the match. My biggest takeaway, I'm not going to be as hesitant. I believe, just go out there and be confident in anything. It's my favorite saying going to this is risk it for the biscuit.
there you go.
So that's what I'm going to do because the title is my biscuit. So I want that title. I don't care if I had a rematch with this girl. I don't care if we fought in the past. She's just another opponent, and being a world champion doesn't make you better than anyone else. So go in here. I have the best corner with me. They prepared me since February when my last match with Ayaka. I'm ready to go against Jessa. I'm ready to prove myself and prove a lot of the naysayers.
Awesome. Yeah, quite a big ass biscuit you got waiting for you there, Danielle. I don't know if you've seen the belts or felt it, but very heavy, I've heard.
Yeah, I'm if I when I win, I'm probably gonna collapse. But it's a good thing. So
Yes. Absolutely.
if
And
Demetrius Johnson couldn't hold it, he's definitely stronger than me, but he's small. So like yeah, I'm gonna probably be struggling for a
yeah,
bit.
yeah, you need like a carrier or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating too, Danielle. Like I remember, when you signed with one and you were coming over to do this, compete there and all that. There was a talk about, oh, she's going to get into MMA at some point, but obviously continue to stick with jiu-jitsu, which is fine, and you're about to be potentially the champion and all that. But I'm curious, have the plans to compete in MMA, are they done with? Put it on the back burner? Is that still maybe in the future at some point, or are we done with that idea?
Yeah, I basically said in the future I definitely want one or two, because when I started, I that's really why I got into jiu-jitsu because I was getting bullied and I
Mhm.
wanted to fight or defend myself, quote unquote. But I wanted to fight, I wanted to strike. That's jiu-jitsu wasn't really as popular as it is now, and I feel like jiu-jitsu is starting to become what MMA is now. Popularity. People have families. I don't have kids, but I'm saying like there's maybe a guy or a girl who's a mom, dad, they have family, they can do jiu-jitsu competing. If they're an athlete, they can take care of their family and live off it. Whereas
Mhm.
back then, a lot of these grapplers shifted to MMA because MMA was more, you can make money and live off of. But now jiu-jitsu and what I'm trying to push for, especially for women, you don't have to shift over to MMA right away or anything. You can live off jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is growing fast. People are opening up academies. There's a lot of opportunities now for competitors, especially. So
Mhm.
I think for now, I want to have my title match, win, have a couple matches or so, win a title, engrave my name, and then maybe make the switch. So that's my plan, hopefully.
All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be there, so no rush indeed. But I know you are an MMA fan and you watch the fights every now and then, right? So I want to get your thoughts on, GSP, the GOAT, he's coming back, but in grappling. I'm sure you've heard about this. December, I think, is the plan for him on the UFC Fight Pass Invitational. No opponent yet. But what are your thoughts on GSP coming back in grappling? Is that something exciting for you just to, see? And I mean, it's the GOAT, right? So how cool is that?
Yeah, so actually like a little story, like I actually got asked to be on that card because
Okay.
I was like, no, I'm getting ready for a match, like I'm in one championship, but hearing that like he's competing again, it's really cool because I actually trained with him years ago and
Mm.
he's always super nice, I have met, not saying names, but I have met MMA fighters, in big name sports. They can be kind of mean,
Hmm.
but he's always been personable. He's always been respectful, and the times I got to train with him in New York City, he was always good. For an MMA guy, his technique was pretty good. For like, he stuck with jiu-jitsu guys and kept up with them. So I'm actually looking forward to watching him compete. Um, yeah, it's really cool to witness that. So I hope he does well because he was always super nice.
Oh yes, definitely. Captain Canada, one of the nicest guys out there for sure. But I'm curious too, like, a lot of people are saying they want to seem like against an MMA guy, but from your perspective as, a fantastic grappler, jiu-jitsu player, all these things, would you prefer to see him against another MMA guy in jiu-jitsu or against like someone who's specifically a jiu-jitsu player? Like some of the matches you've had against MMA fighters, I'm curious which you think would be better to see.
I feel like, it would be cool if he went against a jiu-jitsu person because, you know, I personally think he's good. I feel like if he showed his technique, like he does really good passing from MMA base. And I believe it's not in a cage. I think they just do like they reset it in the middle or something. So it would be like a disadvantage on his part. But he's really good at like body locks from top and bottom when he passes. And there has been popular jiu-jitsu guys, actually very few, but they lost to UFC people
Mhm.
and other MMA promotions. They've lost to them, and there's not that excuse where or yeah, the grappling guys lost to the fighters. So there's no really excuse of like, oh, they're just fighters, they're not, they don't train jiu-jitsu strictly. But
Right.
there's history that jiu-jitsu guys have lost to MMA guys. Speaking of me and Cara match, like I beat her, but there was a lot of MMA guys versus jiu-jitsu guys. So it really just depends on the rules. And I feel like with his match, I don't think leg locks are going to be in it
Mm.
because he doesn't fight anymore. So I don't know if that really,
Yeah.
if those rules apply for his or for this match. But um I think if it just stays standing, it goes to like right from passing. I think GSP has a good shot against any jiu-jitsu person his weight.
Hmm. Yeah, going to be very interesting to see for all those aspects.
Yeah, I just talked your ear off. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, that was good. I mean, you make great points. It's yeah, the rules are definitely a big part of it. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. But as is your rematch, Danielle. But before then, I wanted to know, like, still kind of going through the motions, about to, potentially get this big title here. In the long run, I'm sure you have, plenty of goals. We've mentioned the MMA possibly at some point, but in terms of like opponents, do you have any dream opponents that you have in mind? Like, oh, that would be great to check that name off the list at some point.
Yeah, so after this match, I would like, well, I'm focused for Jessa first. I
Hmm.
don't really have anyone like in mind, but in passing, I kind of want to pull in Mikey Musumeci. He goes like he's been competing like almost every other month, and he's gone against like really good guys from MMA guys, excuse me. Especially one coming up. I think after my match with Jessa, there's one with him and Shinya.
Hmm.
He's Shinya Yoki, like I know actually known Shinya since I started training actually. That's
Yeah,
a little fun
legend.
fact. But I want to go against people like that after, I be a jiu-jitsu world champion and I can go against anyone I want. I would I would like to go against Angela Lee. I have said that in the past.
Hmm.
When she's in the right mindset competing, I really want that match eventually. And another judo black belt, I want to go against Izuki. She's like closer to my weight, so it would be really cool to go against someone her level. Um, but yeah, there's actually another girl too. I think her name is Jean. She's also on the main card, but it'd be
Hmm.
cool to go against her in a grappling match, test my wrestling and stand up with her. So
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of options, good ones to have. At first, I thought you were about to say Mikey was the person. I was like,
I mean, sure, mixed rules, let's go.
yeah, some cross-gender grappling there. Get crazy, but all right, Daniel. Well, I'll let you get on with the rest of your day. I appreciate the time so much. Always great getting to catch up with you. Hope you have a safe and smooth flight to Singapore. Always a fun long one, and then a great rematch coming up here. And wishing you all the best of luck. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. This was fun.